Coach, from Bob Hertzel, while obviously less is at stake, how does this run of games differ from the NCAA tournament, and what can you take from it going into the postseason? Might this even be tougher than the postseason?
Well, I hope the NCAA tournament doesn't make us fly 400 miles to play the next game. I mean, the travels is the deal. I mean, you think about what our guys go through, and then they keep changing game times. We go from 4 to 7, which is 8 here, which means we get back around 5 a.m. And I think that's what nobody, until you do it, takes into account of the travel. You know, we're playing 3 games in what is it, 6 days now? It was 5 days, 6 days, and we're going to play in Austin, and then we're going to bust to Fort Worth and play again, and then turn around and bus again, and then fly home and get home at all hours of the morning. That's the hard part. The travel, nobody gets until you do it. Then once you do it, you really don't want to do it anymore.
Greg Hunter.
So, Bob, you guys played Kansas a month and a half ago. How have they changed? What do the Jayhawks look like now?
David McCormick, that's the change. They're throwing the ball to him, and rightfully so. He's improved, I think, more than anybody I've coached against in however many years it's been. 35, 40 years. I've never seen a guy get better that fast. And he's a heck of a threat for him now. And they're really looking to throw him the ball. He go over his left shoulder, go over his right shoulder. He's shooting jump shots. He's always been a great rebounder and shot blocker. I mean, I think he's put himself in position to be one of the most talked about guys in the country, the way he's improved. And, he's always had a great body and great athleticism, but his skill level has improved dramatically.
Coach, a follow-up from Hertz. Deuce has gone a couple of games without making a 3. How important is it for him to get back making them, to draw the defense to him so that he can either drive past it for a mid-range jump shot or dish it off to Culver or other teammates?
Well, it's obviously obviously it's important for us for him to make shots. I mean, he's the one guy we have who can create a good shot. I mean, we have other guys who can make shots, but they don't have the ability to create shots the way Deuce does.
John Antonik.
To Hertzel's first question, you're going into a gauntlet here, 6 straight ranked teams. You did it once before when you were at Cincinnati. What do you remember about that, and what did you learn from it?
I don't remember anything from it.
You did play 6 in a row at Cincinnati. Yeah,
Mess told me that yesterday. I mean, I guess if I looked at who it was, I would remember some bits and pieces and whether we won or lost, but I know Cal was in that, and they had Jason Kidd and that whole crew. I mean, they were really good. Jason Kidd we couldn't handle.
Do you have to stay in the now when you've got that many tough games coming up in a row? Just concentrate on one and not get too far ahead of yourself?
We haven't thought about anything other than Kansas.
Okay.
So we'll worry about what comes next when that happens.
Justin Jackson.
Hey, Coach. Kind of on Kansas here, and I don't know, maybe an interesting thing here. If you guys beat Kansas, there's likely going to be a top 25 poll next week with no Kansas, no Duke, no North Carolina, Michigan State, Kentucky. Obviously, this has been a weird year with COVID and all that, but is there any significance to that? Would that say anything to you at all, as a guy who knows the history of the game?
Well, I think what that says to me is just wait until we have transfer and immediate eligibility. I think Chris Beard said it the best. You know, we will no longer recruit. It'll be all roster management, and I think that's true. I mean, I think everybody's going to recruit from the portal. It's just, I mean, you really can evaluate people better because they're coming from playing against other college players as opposed to playing against high school players. And I mean, I'm not for it. I've never been for it, but I think it's going to happen. And that's, you know, I think about it, and I think that's the one advantage I have. I'm old enough to retire. You know, I'm old. I got old fast too, but anyway, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Absolutely.
Michael Sussman.
Coach, you guys have had a lot of close battles with Kansas through the years in the Big 12. What does Bill Self do as a coach tactically that makes him difficult to face?
Has at least 10 really, really good players. I mean, he substitutes, you know, a McDonald's All-American for a McDonald's All-American. They're talented. They've been as talented a team as there has been in college basketball for quite a while. And Bill's a good coach. I mean, it's not, he's a very good coach, but I think it's easier to coach really good players than it is to coach guys that aren't as good of players. Think about who he's had. Think about all the people he has now playing in the NBA. Successfully playing in the NBA.
DJ Harvey.
Hey, Coach. Levi Phillips is getting honored this weekend. A good friend of yours. He said you guys have been friends for about 50 years now, nearly 50 years. Said you might be even closer had he known you'd be the head coach one of these days. But can you
Levi's not very good at math either.
No, unfortunately. But can you speak to your relationship with Levi and how unique his history is for WVU basketball? Thanks.
Yeah, Levi was here when I got here, and you know, I think we had the distinction then of two guys who could dribble faster than anybody as long as they didn't have to touch the ball with their left hand. We had Levi and Will, who were both so right-handed dominant. It was unbelievable. And the thing about it is you could stand on their right hand and they still would find a way to go right on you. But no, Levi was really good. He was really fast. He was really good in transition. He had great speed. And you know, I told the story yesterday of when Levi told the story, so it's okay for me to tell that Levi was home on break and went in and got himself a big bowl of ice cream, and he was eating ice cream, and he walked in, cut the TV on. The news was coming on, sports, breaking news, Levi Phillips ineligible at WVU. He's like, what? And so he just sat there and ate his ice cream and listened. Levi dropped a class he thought was a 4-hour class. It was a 5-hour class. So dropped him under 12 hours, and he was ineligible for the remainder of the season. So he tells that one. The true story is when he took my car, which I talked to him last night, and he's trying to say it didn't happen. Bake was with me. So Bake saw Levi came in the middle of the night, and, you know, I need to borrow your car. Go away, Levi. You know, and Hugs, I really need to borrow your car. Levi, go away, man. And he just, you know how Levi can be persistent. And he was very persistent. So I said, the keys are there. I need it in the morning. He came back about a week later. And there was were more gas cans, you know, the thing you have on boats, that red can, you know, that you fill with gas. There were a couple of those. There was more garden hose and stuff in there. And I mean, Levi could have went to Florida for all I know, because he siphoned enough gas along the way that he wouldn't have had a problem with gas. And he came back and I opened the door, and I swear, you can ask Warren Baker, I mean, it knocked us backwards. The smell of the gas just hit us. And we're like, I said, it's a damn good thing we don't smoke. I mean, we'd have blown up. And Levi says he only had it a day. Now, you couldn't accumulate that much stuff in a day. I mean, he would have had to stop at every porch along the way to Charleston to accumulate that much stuff in one day. So that's the real story. I mean, he stayed away from me for a week because I wanted to choke him. You know, I had to leave I had the only car parked in that old lot over there behind St. Francis High that all the doors were open. People were like, "Why you leave the doors of your car open?" I said, "Go over and smell it once." I mean, it reeked of gas. It smelled more like gas than Johnny's Esso.
Greg, I'm sure you might have been there. You're up next.
I don't know how to follow that one up, but I'll just go back to normal. Hey Bob, you talked about the transfer portal and immediate eligibility. Do you change your recruiting philosophy going forward because of that?
I don't really want to, but I think we're going to have to a degree, or we're going to have to keep up. I just don't. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's in the best interest of the young people. You know, this stuff that, well, coaches, you know, take other jobs. Why can't kids go? I mean, come on. I mean, so if you're a lawyer and you change law firms, that gives your son a chance to drop out of school and go do something else. No, that's not right. You know, it's I think it teaches the wrong kind of things, and I think it'll just be one of the many things that is going to hurt this country.
Back to John.
I forgot my damn question after that Levi story. And by the way, Levi tells a different version than your story, but we'll leave it at that.
Well, you can ask Bake. I mean, Bake was there when I opened the car door. I mean, I'm glad Bake was there, because I mean, Levi would you know, Levi has lied himself out of a lot tougher situations than that, John. Believe me, he has. I mean, if Levi should be known for one thing, is he's a very accomplished liar. I mean, he's really good at it. Very convincing.
Well, my question is, when you don't have a great rim protector, how do you defend well? And how have you defended well in the past when you haven't had a great rim protector?
Well, you try to stay, you know, between your man and the basket. You know, I mean, I started playing bitty basketball in the 3rd grade, and that's what they taught me. You know, don't let your man go by. You stay between him and the basket and make him shoot it over top of you. And, you know, I mean, I think it was good enough for 3rd graders. It should be good enough for everybody else. I mean, that's how you stop. Then you don't need that so-called. Think about the great teams. Think about the great teams over history. Coach Knight's undefeated team, did they have a rim protector? No. They stayed between the man and the basket. And you go, UNLV, did they have a great rim protector? No. They stayed between their man and the basket. And they did it on a full court basis. So, I mean, there's a lot of things in basketball have changed, but they've changed primarily because of rule changes. But that hadn't changed.
Back to Michael.
Coach, this is kind of a general question, but you mentioned earlier how Coach Self has the luxury of replacing a McDonald's All-American with a McDonald's All-American. And I just kind of wonder, at West Virginia, how do you manage to make up for that gap in recruiting and still compete with those national powerhouse programs?
I don't know. I mean, have we competed? I mean, there's some games there we should have won, obviously, but I mean, I think we're 0 for 8. So I don't know if that justifies saying we're competing, even though 2 or 3 of those we had a control of and should have won.
Justin.
Coach, obviously the last game against Kansas, someone mentioned it earlier, all the threes they had. Kansas obviously hasn't shot the ball like that since, and they've kind of struggled shooting the last few games. So how do you scout a game like this? Do you take that first game as just a sort of an anomaly, or you know, do those 16 threes still play a factor at all?
You know what it seems like, Justin? It kind of seems like that old story about the fat guy, you know, going to the pool, taking his shirt off, and all the mosquitoes yelling "buffet, buffet," and attacking him. I mean, that's kind of how, you know, I feel when we walk in and it says West Virginia across our chest. Everybody in the eastern part of Kansas yells "buffet, buffet," and kind of comes after us. That's the way it seems. We haven't finished what we started there. And either do mosquitoes, when they get full, they leave, I would assume.
John.
Last one for me, and this goes back to the first question I asked you about the ranked teams. You've averaged, since you've been here, you've averaged 10 ranked teams per year, which is far more than your predecessors. Why play I mean, you've got them built into your league, so you've got to play them, but why play so many tough games?
We always have, John. I think it makes you better. You know, my goal has always been to win a national championship. We haven't achieved that yet, but I think it makes you better. I think it makes you understand how much better you've got to get to be able to compete on that level. You know, why would we run from anybody? And then, you know, I said when I got here, if you'll remember, that, you know, I want the people of West Virginia to be proud of and come to the Coliseum and root like hell for their team. And we don't have NBA teams. We don't have professional teams at all, really. So we are it. And why would they want to come in and watch us play, you know, Sisters of the Poor and win by 55? You know, that's not hardly worth the price of a ticket. So I think it's the right thing to do for a lot of reasons.
You know, last thing here on that, some of your predecessors tried that and struggled and couldn't win.
Well, I've been fortunate to have really good assistants, and we've been, I think, for the most part, been competitive because we try to figure out ways to win, and hopefully because we do things right.